Hey guys, it's Friday, 8:42 a.m. on September 14th, 2018, and we have a National Hurricane Center update for Hurricane Florence. This is the update statement as of 7:05 a.m. And I want to give you guys some information directly from here and what we can glean from this report. First, let's take a look at where this thing landed. Location is 34.2 north and 77.8 west. And if we look at where I plotted this on Google Earth, look at it, you guys. This thing is landed right on Wilmington. Okay, so that means over the last couple of hours, as this has approached Wilmington, and it actually came around from the northeast over down to this southwestern part as it's now hitting land, all of these readings that we should take a bunch of readings here on this coast from about 5 o'clock yesterday to see what's going on. Okay, so this is where we're going to be measuring the buoys and this CLKN7 tower here, which is where we actually do find the greatest winds on this entire storm. I'm going to show you that in just a second, but first, let's read what the hurricane statement actually says. It says here, buoy 41064, operated by the Coastal Ocean Research and Monitoring Program, which is located about 50 miles east of the center of Florence's eye, recently reported a wind gust of 112 miles an hour. Okay, let me point out what this is actually telling us. This is actually telling us, you guys, that according to NOAA, using buoy measurements to substantiate the wind speed for a hurricane is a standard protocol, because here they are actually doing it themselves. But what I want to point out here, you guys, is they are not telling us that this remains a hurricane. We do not have, they're telling us that the maximum sustained winds, and then they have ... 90 miles an hour, ... 150 kilometers. But you guys, nowhere here do they tell us where those wind speeds were actually substantiated. What they're giving us is wind gusts. Now let me tell you something here. Wind gusts do not a hurricane make. You can have all sorts of wind gusts, but if you do not have sustained surface level winds of 74 miles an hour, you do not have a hurricane. And if it's just a gust, it's not sustained. So let's take a look at 41064 and see, because it's reporting here that there was a wind gust of 112 miles an hour, right? And that the hurricane is just passed right by this. So let's take a look and see. Okay, what do we see here? Well, this is buoy 41064, and we're going to see that our wind speeds at the two different height levels are 48.6 and 52.4 knots. It would have to be 64 knots to be considered a hurricane. And as we scroll down here, we'll see the wind speeds in knots: 42.7, 40.8, 25.3. These are sustained winds, okay? Just the wind speeds here in this column. But in this column, we have a couple of what we call outliers in statistics, where we have a random reading for a brief period of time that is far out of range of all the others. And it just so happens that this particular outlier reads 97.1. It reads 97.1 at 7 o'clock, at 8 o'clock, at 9 o'clock. So there are gusts that for some reason they hit 97.1, and then they hit 97.1 again at 6 o'clock in the morning. What's unusual about this, you guys, is that if this is a storm that's going to be coming and approaching, and it's going to have increased gusts of wind, you would expect to see it. The next highest wind speed reading, you guys, here looks to be about 62 gusts. You know, the gust speed of gusts of wind speed at 62 knots. You guys, that is 35 knots below this outlier here. In other words, I would be curious as to why there is this 97.1 reading. We should see other gusts of winds in the 80s, you know, one at 91, maybe one at 92, but we're not. We have this incredible range between 62.2 and 97.1. So I really do, as somebody who's worked with numbers and statistics before, I consider this an outlier, almost something that I would not include this. If I were doing a statistical analysis of this, I would write about it being an outlier like this, but I probably wouldn't include it in my analysis, because it's a repeated number that doesn't have any approaching or decreasing numbers from it. In other words, if we were to see something that was like 92, 89, 86 or something, but we have this huge 30 knot gap, 35 knot gap. So it tells me that there might be something wrong here with the actual instrumentation. That being said, though, you guys, there's absolutely no indication that there has been a hurricane passing by this buoy. But I do think that it's substantial that here we have NOAA's admission that they actually use this buoy. So that puts to rest any of the criticism that was like, oh, truth by grace. You know, you can't measure a hurricane by buoys. Yes, absolutely you can, because here we have evidence of NOAA giving a pathetic attempt to do it with an outlier of 30 knots. So now let's take a look at the next paragraph here. This paragraph says that a weather bug site located at Cape Fear Community College recently reported a wind gust to 100 miles an hour. Again, we see these guys reporting wind gusts. Well, everybody at NOAA knows that wind gusts do not a hurricane make. So let's keep reading. A report of wind gusts to 91 miles an hour was reported at the Wilmington Airport, and a NOAA Ocean Services observing site in Wrightsville Beach recently reported a sustained wind of 60 miles an hour and a gust to 87 miles an hour, and the NOS site also recently reported pressure of 959.2 millibars. Okay, you guys, do you notice what's missing here? What's missing here, and these guys are reading every single detail that I'm reading, there is absolutely no mention of where they are getting these readings for the hurricane that they're trying to tell us has happened. Okay, they're giving us readings of wind gusts, but they're not saying buoy number such and such registered hurricane strength winds. Okay, now another thing I want to point out here, it says a weather bug site located at Cape Fear Community College. I want to, when I tell you guys that we get all these composite readings from Intellicast, I'm going to go to the interactive map here, you guys. It is from the data feed from personal weather stations, from airports, from community colleges, from all sorts of government, official, and non-official, but authorized equipment that feeds into it. And in this instance, WeatherBug is a type of feeding system that feeds into, it's just one of thousands and thousands of data points that register on composite images that are used at airports, that is used here in Intellicast, that is used at the weather.gov. It's all from these thousands and thousands of pieces of information that are feeding into creating this image and generating the data on this particular, at every particular site that we click on. So for example, right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you at Wilmington, North Carolina. Now remember, the hurricane report just says that, and I just showed you that this hurricane it's finally hit somewhere on land. So it just came in from the northeast and hit Wilmington. Let's take a look at the wind speeds at Wilmington, because of all places in this entire storm, you guys, this is the one place where we should see, 74-mile-an-hour winds. But I want to show you, as of, like an hour ago, you guys, the greatest wind speeds were what, 64 miles an hour? You guys, that is not a hurricane. It's high winds, and they do show gusts of up to 105 miles an hour, and a gust at one point was at 87 miles an hour. See what I'm saying about the range of the gusts here versus that one that was at 91.7 and then 60? The gusts of wind here are pretty high. I mean, but gusts are not what they define a hurricane by. They define a hurricane by the numbers to the left here, just the wind speeds. And if you look down here, you guys, we are not going to see a single official reading of hurricane strength winds. Now, I'm not saying that storm isn't strong. It is. But technically, if this actually hits 74 miles an hour anywhere on here, believe me, it would be included in this report, but it's not. And that's why they're giving us gusts. Gusts of wind do not a hurricane make. So let's just check to see if, somehow this mysterious jumping hurricane may have landed somewhere else, because there is one. I'm just going to take you here to these buoys, to the rest of the buoys and to the rest of the columns, because we do see at one place I did find where that column, that tower, CLKN7, did hit wind speeds at one point of 64 knots. So I'm going to for purposes of full disclosure here, you guys, I'm going to scroll down here and show you that at 2 o'clock in the morning, wind speeds were registered at that tower at 66 knots, right there. So we do, I can't say that there were absolutely none whatsoever, because it's not true. We do actually have one reading, 1, 2, 3 readings. 3 readings. So we have it at 7 p.m., 7 p.m., and 2 a.m., where wind speeds actually hit hurricane strength. So that would be at this tower, let me see, this tower right here. Right here at, let's see, when did it happen? At 8 p.m., at 7 p.m., and at 2 a.m., 3 separate readings of sustained winds that qualify as hurricane strength. So technically, this was a hurricane because there were those wind speeds registered there. And I think that's important to know that it actually did reach hurricane strength. But that's, you know, that was at 5 o'clock and at 2 o'clock in the morning. 5 o'clock yesterday and 2 o'clock. And it's only 3 separate readings, you guys. We have been looking at this quote-unquote hurricane for 4 days now. I have taken you guys literally from Bermuda to North Carolina with the storm, and we have not seen hurricane strength winds except for what I'm reporting right here on that one tower, and it was just 3 separate readings. So there's a problem here because for some reason we're getting all this information that this is supposed to be a hurricane, you guys, and we haven't been able to substantiate it at all. They've been giving us 110, 105 mile an hour winds, and that's not what happened here. That is not what happened here. So the fact remains the same, that throughout the course of this entire thing, all the metrics that we've used to substantiate the storm have failed to establish that the storm actually existed in the strength that they've been telling us. You know, and that now, another thing I want to point out is for all you people who are trying to tell me that IntelliCast isn't going to work off the shore, so, you know, certain distance off the shore, and that for some reason, you know, when I was showing you guys, let's see if I have that video pulled up, where, let's see, is this it? Where I show you guys, yeah, here, the birth of Hurricane Florence. You guys, so many people are trying to tell me that, let's see, who is it? It's one gal down here. Oh, I won't make a fool of her, but she keeps trying to tell me, oh, but in truth, by grace, the radar doesn't go out that far. You guys, the radar does not go out that far on the national mosaic that you get at weather.gov. If you looked at that at one point yesterday, you would have seen that it actually cuts off in the middle and there's a straight line. But that is not what we experience here on IntelliCast. IntelliCast, you guys, let me show you how this works. If you go to Hamilton, Bermuda, okay, and you zoom out, because you can fly an airplane between Hamilton, Bermuda, and North Carolina, there's a straight line shot where you have contiguous radar that's actually feeding into IntelliCast, okay? And as we back out, this is Hamilton, Bermuda, where we see that there's broken clouds. We have the radar from all around Bermuda. This is the information, you guys, that pilots use. It's plotted into this map. And as we back out here and move over to the west, we're going to start seeing the storm coming into view. You see? So here's Bermuda, and here's the storm. The storm is there now, but it wasn't there before. So see? Here's Bermuda, and here's the storm. You would have been able to see the storm as it was being created here if it actually existed. But the fact is, you guys, if you look at my videos, you're going to see I had it triggered in on Bermuda, Hamilton, and I show you that right here, that storm just came out of nowhere, you know, and now here it is, fully formed. You know, and I'm going to back up some more, and I'm just going to emphasize this point. You guys keep telling me that IntelliCast would have cut this off, but that's not true. Bermuda is right over here. Okay, so same thing like when we come down to the Caribbean, and we see down here, we've got the Bahamas. You know, when the storm started coming up in the Bahamas, people were saying the exact same thing. They're like, oh, but in truth, by grace, you know, the radar doesn't go out that far. Baloney. You guys, look at how far the radar goes out. Everywhere that we can fly between one place and another, you can see the storms that are actually there. So I just want to point that out, that I mean, I understand you guys are concerned about integrity of information, but that's why I'm using this particular map, because this particular map has data feeds from all over the world. I mean, if we go over here and we try to zoom in on Madrid, is when this thing starts loading, you're going to see, if I just click on Madrid, or let me type in Lisbon here. Lisbon. It takes a second. Here we go, Portugal. There are no clouds. It's completely clear. It gives us, now, if we were to say, you know, maybe these islands right here, I may not see it between these islands and, you know, 2,000 miles over to the west. But you guys, Bermuda's only, you know, the distance between Bermuda and North Carolina is less than 1,000 miles, as far as I know. I don't know. You could check that out on Google Earth here. Let's find Bermuda. Let's type in Hamilton, Bermuda, because I don't know how far apart they are. Hamilton, Bermuda. There we go. Okay, that's what I thought. So Hamilton, Bermuda, let's see how far away these two are. I think it's less than 1,000. Yeah, it's less than 1,000 miles away, you guys. You're definitely going to get this stuff on radar. If there's something between these two places, because there is radar in Bermuda. Now, whether or not you're going to get something that's, you know, 2,000 miles away, I don't know. I doubt you're going to see a storm if it's right here in the Atlantic Ocean, just because there's no reporting site nearby. But because Hamilton is so close to the coast of North Carolina, you're definitely going to see that. So I just thought I'd point that out. Now, last but not least, oh, oops, cancel. I don't want to get rid of that. I want to go to show you all the buoys for the storm, all the buoy readings for the storm, and obviously since NOAA itself is not reporting any hurricane strength winds, let's scroll down here and just take a look, because none of these were sustained long enough, with the exception of that one tower, to actually establish that there was a hurricane here. Now we do have, you know, strong winds. This one came really close. This was 55.9. Okay, let's scroll all the way down here, and you're going to see just the last couple of hours. There's nothing here at 64 knots. Nothing here at 6. You've got 48. You've got, there's some of them are high, but they're not 64, except for that CLN71. Here we go. Well, maybe this one. Oh no, that's still wind speed is 42. That's a gust. So yeah, all right, you guys, that should sum it up. I'm gonna go to Amish town, Amish country today. I'll be with my Amish buddies, so I won't be paying attention to anything electronic. Thank God, I need a break from this. So I think I'm making pickles. So I will come back and update you guys later this evening. But that is your morning and evening update, and I can't get over the fact that, well, I can't get over the fact that this is still being perpetrated as something that it's not. I mean, something that it's not. This is not the eye of a hurricane, you guys. It wouldn't be all open here. This is just ridiculous. All right, you guys, have a good day. I hope everybody's doing well.